So I want to welcome you first to today's service, and it's important for me to start off by saying that I don't want to speak on behalf of Indigenous people. I feel that for too long people have been doing that. As we know, the golden rule is do unto others as you would like to have done unto yourself. But I rather love the new rule, which is called the platinum rule, which is do unto others as they would like to have done unto them. I think it's an important distinction. So with that in mind, what I do want to do is honor the people who have had a profound effect on my life. What you might not know about me is that I was born in California, Sacramento to be precise. And family legend has it that our family's beloved Auntie Rita, as we knew her, was actually from the Hopi Nation. And as the story goes, because my father was in active service, he wasn't there when I was born, her hands were the first to touch mine after the doctor, to touch my tiny body after the doctors. And she prayed a blessing over me. And perhaps it's no surprise, therefore, that I've spent most of my life feeling so deeply attached to the Indigenous peoples of wherever I've ended up. So but then I spent my formative years in New Zealand, hence the Maori song. I went to a Maori school as my primary school. I learned the language and the songs, much of the culture. And my primary school teacher, who carried me through some very, very difficult childhood years. Mine was not an easy childhood. He also taught me much about the customs and traditions and was almost like a spiritual father to me. And then, as you know, I spent 7 years working, living and studying and serving in Australia. And naturally, of course, several Aboriginal elders and people became my teachers and my guides, and I want to honor them as well in today's service. And now here I am in South Africa, coming to you from the mother city, Cape Town, where the Indigenous peoples here in this particular part of South Africa were the Khoi and the San. And we'll be hearing later from Zabada, who herself is Khoi Indigenous woman. And the other side, and this sort of what they know is the Eastern Cape and the northern part of South Africa, predominantly, of course, Xhosa and Zulu and other traditions. I very, very much wanted, Zabada and I are working on a project together with a beautiful young lady who is Zulu. Her name is Kanye. I really wanted her to be part of today, but she wasn't able to, but she sends her love, and hopefully I'll have a chance to introduce you to her in another service, another time. But for now, also to welcome you on behalf of the Universalist Unitarian community of the Palisades. And I did want to share with you the new shared values that were distributed last week. And I feel they're an important way to enter in today. I wanted to choose these 6. Pluralism. We are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. Transformation. We adapt to the changing world. Interdependence. We honor the independent web of all existence and acknowledge our place in it. Justice. We work to be diverse, multicultural, beloved communities. I love that, beloved communities, where all feel welcome and can thrive. Generosity. We cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. And finally, equity. We declare that every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion. And with that, I want to enter us into sacred space together by the lighting of the chalice. Welcome, one and all. Let me share a couple of blessings, again, not in my words, but in words of, first of all, Kent, who is from North America, a native North American man. And he says this: the spirit of the native people, the first people, has never died. It lives in the rocks and the forests, the rivers and the mountains. It murmurs in the brooks and whispers in the trees. The hearts of these people were formed of the earth upon which we now walk, and their voice can never be silenced. And also the words of someone who I've gotten to know recently through a training I did last month. She is a San woman, and in honor of August 9th, she wanted to be with me, but she couldn't. So she sent these words, and I promised that I would share them with you today on her behalf. Her name is Chantal. She lives in a town called George, which is probably about a 9-hour drive from Cape Town, headed east. And these were her words that she wanted to share. Remember us. Remember us. Our foot imprints on the land. Hear us. Hear our echo in the distant silence of time. Remember us. Thank you, Chantal. And now, in place of a meditation, or rather a meditation with a different feel to it, I wanted to spend 4.5 minutes with you in the presence of a teacher of mine who has since become a teacher to Zabada as well. She has a very profound influence on the seminary from which both Reverend Sonia and I graduated and were ordained. She is Dine, which is also known as the Navajo people. And she's a prolific teacher and writer and activist. She lives in New Mexico, but travels quite widely. And she, if ever you get the chance to listen to any of her recordings, if you Google her, she'll come up numerous talks that she's given. And one of the themes that seems to have in common is that she is bringing the voice of the past into the voice of the now and helping us to grapple with how to move forward. And now, in a moment, I'm going to hand over to Zabada. But before I do, I wanted to show you a picture, and I hope that allow me to share this with you. I hope you can see it. This woman is someone who Zabada is going to talk to you about in a moment, but she is a very important figure in South African Khoi and San Indigenous history. And Zabada and I had the very great honor of marking the anniversary of her 350th anniversary of her passing. But you'll see that there are two pictures of the same woman. One in Dutch dress. The Dutch were, of course, the original colonizers of South Africa. And the other is in her traditional Khoi clothes. And you'll see that there are tears in her eyes. So she was at once strong and brave, but also, unfortunately, she died of a broken heart at the tender age of 31 years old. But I'm going to leave Zabada to share more of her story with you. But here is a poem that someone locally wrote about her that I want to share with you. And then Zabada, invite you to share with us. It's called Unapologetically by Jacqueline Mart. Our truth untold, made taboo, unshaven and hidden from me and you. A warrior, spirited and fierce, like the kudu and table bear deer. She fought to tell her story, her truth pure and untainted. Her innocence was taken like a cub from its mother. Don't be mistaken. You paved the way, our ancestral leader, bold, ambitious, and tenacious, indignant to them. But to us, you are the mother of the Cape, our ancestral star. From freedom to slavery, you stood your ground bravely. Your shackles, now broken, finally free, never more to be displayed as savage. See the words flutter from east to west, like ink on paper, written best. Take your place, woman, from this land. From this land, take your place, our ancestral goddess. Unapologetically, your story will be told. Thank you. And Zabada, with that, I welcome you into our circle and honor what it is that you want to bring to us today. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Kaises, which means good morning or greetings in the Khoi language. And thank you, Pippa, for giving me another opportunity to come and share my story with you. So, not everything that I'm going to speak about today is going to make sense to you. I know over time I have shared with you in conversation the trauma of Indigenous peoples globally, which touch base on epistemic violence and the impact that it has on the livelihood of Indigenous peoples, the loss of the Indigenous spirituality, specifically from a South African perspective, the loss of culture, tradition, and language, the loss of our truth, and our perspective, and the fact that our perspective of our truth never surfaced. I also shared with you the importance of our connection to land. And so basically, I shared with you the trauma, the despair, and the humiliation that our peoples have endured over years. I've also had conversations about the interconnection interconnectedness of Indigenous peoples globally, that our story is your story and that your story is my story too. But before I want to continue, I just want to highlight the following. History was never told from our perspective. So in the beginning, just before I started, Pippa gave you a glimpse of the history of our mother, of the first Indigenous peoples of South Africa, Pretoria, like we know her. She's known to us as our mediator and the agent of peace. She literally used her linguistic abilities to encourage peace amongst our tribe, the tribe that I belong to, which we call the Strandloper tribe, and the colonizers. So on the weekend between the 26th of July this year, 2024, I think it's about a week or 2 weeks ago, and the 28th of July, the truth of our Indigenous Khoi mother was honored, acknowledged, remembered, and celebrated by the same church who has taken her livelihood away from her and from us. So now I want to share with you is this I see as our first victory, our first step forward to healing and reconciliation. Not only were the descendants of the perpetrator acknowledging and honoring the part that our mother, Pretoria, played in the history of South Africa, at the same time, they honored our spirituality, our traditions, by including our spirituality and traditions in the same church ceremony or service, who plotted against us as Indigenous peoples, but also announced us or our spirituality to be heathen or to proclaim us as non-believers. So with this event happening, or the practice of honoring, is this particular practice or the service that we have over the 3-day period of honoring is not just a blessing to us as Indigenous peoples in South Africa, but to all peoples globally. For us, this is a profound, significant happening and experience of inclusion and rekindling the spirit and that hope and goodness in all peoples are not lost. And what I would like to ask you is never to lose hope that goodness and peace and love can prevail if we just listen to one another and uplift one another. Kangans, thank you.
If you like this video, please like us on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and click on the bell to be notified whenever we post a new video. Thank you.